Hi, this is Ty Anderson with Cogent Company. Today I'm going to show you how to configure security for a report inside of SQL Server reporting services. What I have here right now is a Visto client that is logged into my reporting services portal, and as you can see right now, my user Dave Evans does not have any rights to actually see anything inside of the portal. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add rights to him using default roles. I'm also going to show you how to create your own role inside of SQL Server reporting services and add Dave Evans to that role and make it visible that way. So what we're going to do first is move over to my SQL Server machine and configure report security, and then we'll move back and see the results of that configuration back here on this Vista machine. Okay, so here is my server, and I am running on the local server running SQL Server Reporting Services 2008, and I have, just from the default view, you can see 4 folders, one for data sources, another for executive reports, one for reports, and one for sales. Inside the exec reports is just one report called product listing, and inside the sales folder is another report called sales report. The reports here and how they run and all that are not important. What we're going to worry about is actually adding security to items. So inside of home, we'll go to properties and look at the roles, and we have a couple of ways to add a new, or to create Dave or give him access to the portal. The first would be just to add him as a name, and we can give him a role like browser or content manager, my reports, publisher, or report builder. All of these are standard roles inside of SQL Server reporting services. Here we're just going to give him the role of browser and click OK, and he'll be added. We'll click over back to my Vista machine, hit refresh, and we'll see that he now has access to everything as a browser and will be able to view reports. Now another way is to add his group. Dave Evans is actually a member of the sales team group within Active Directory, so I can just add that group, do the same thing as a browser, and we can come back over here and we'll still see that he still has access. And this is great. You can tie your Active Directory groups and users using the default roles, but you also have the capability to create your own roles. So we'll delete the sales team role. We'll show that Dave Evans doesn't have any access again. And what we'll do is we'll log into SQL Server Management Studio and create a new role called Sales Team. I'm going to log into my reporting services using Windows Authentication. So under the security, it's going to list the same 5 default roles that we saw in the portal, but I will add a new role, and I'll call it actually Sales Team Member. And we're going to give this role the ability to view reports, view folders, and consume reports. And that's it. This is actually a much more restricted role than, say, the browser role, which has additional views, like view resources and manage individual subscriptions, view data models, etc. We'll click OK, and now our sales team member role exists, and we can add that role to the portal. Excuse me, we can add a user as that role in the portal. So when we give the say the Tyrant Dev sales team, we can use this new sales team member role and assign that access to them. Except I need to spell it correctly. Spell my domain correctly at least. Now if we head back over to my Vista client, we'll see once again we have access and we can run a report. Another option you might want to do is actually give users, or actually restrict further the ability of a user to see say folders or anything like that. And one thing you can do then is just give a user, instead of access here at the home level, we can delete this user, come back to Vista, and whoa, I still have access. Oh, there we go. And if we look at our sales folder, we'll look at its properties and see its security, which I've already set up to have just individual security for Dave Evans. And so even though Dave Evans doesn't have access to see anything in terms of just the portal homepage, he has access to see the sales folder inside the portal. So we'll go back and look at it here. I actually have a link and see that he is indeed able to see the sales report inside of the sales folder. And the URL defines that. So it's the reports portal pages folder.aspx, and then the item path, in this case being the sales folder, and the view mode is detail. And so even though it's one way, if you want to hide a bunch of stuff from a user, you can hide it all from them, but then still give them access to individual folders and they can access it and run it. They just have to remember the URL. And this works too if, heading back over to the server, we can head to the home folder and say we have a situation where the sales team has their reports, all those members, and they see certain reports, and then you have an executive level set of reports. You can give a user access to these reports, or the executive team to these reports, while also only giving the sales team access to their reports. So what we'll do in this case to set this up is add the sales team to the sales folder. And I'll use the browser role for this configuration. And then here, for the executive reports, we're going to edit the item security and we're going to change it to where it's no longer inheriting from the parent. So we'll provide its own custom security. We'll add a new role here just for the Tyrant Dev domain. That's the sales execs. And we'll give them a bit more control, maybe content manager. So we have two different security models for the two different reports, report folders. And then just so that we have access on the portal page, we'll give them the browser role. And we'll add the sales team, or the sales execs too. Now when we head back over to my Vista machine with Dave Evans logged in, we can go to the home folder and we'll see that he only sees reports and folders that he has access to. He doesn't see the sale or the exec reports folder. So that's really it. SQL Server Reporting Services uses a role-based model. The roles define the access level of the user, and then the username and user groups actually authenticate the user. Well, that's all I have for this video. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.